This is good stuff.
You have just released a brand new EP, or the first single from a brand new EP called The Lost Dreams EP. And it's actually songs that were left off the original iconic Harlequin Dreams album. So I'd like to know, why were these songs left off?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Every record, there's always a number of songs we have to sort of cull, just because the fact we'll be writing a lot of songs. You're always trying to paint some sort of cohesive picture when it comes to the whole album. So it's not always that the songs aren't as good or the songs aren't whatever. It's just whether it felt like it fit what the essence of that record was when we made it. So yeah, there would have been at least another 10 or 15 demos for that album that never turned into songs. These ones actually turned into songs.
Yeah, wow.
They just didn't make the final cut when we made the track listing for the record.
That's amazing. So were you kind of holding out, hoping that maybe something would come along that you could include them on, or did they just get forgotten completely?
No, yeah, the latter, definitely. Like we never had any intention of doing anything with them. I mean, there's other demos that have been recorded and made into songs for every other record we've done, even including Moonfire, which came out before that. And those songs they're all finished. They've just never ever been released because they didn't make the album for the same reason. So there was probably never an intention to do anything with them. It just felt like something nice with coming up to, I guess, the 10-year anniversary of this album, that we're like, well, those couple of tracks that we recorded were kind of cool. And I'm sure you've been told this already, but it was quite a big effort hunting down the actual songs and trying to find where the actual recordings were.
Oh, really? Can you tell us about that process?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we knew of the songs, and we had a couple of floating copies in pretty bad quality floating around some emails. So we ended up trying to find a hard drive with the whole recording session on it, and we've lost the hard drive, so we don't have the multi-tracks anymore. I don't know where they are, which is really terrible. So we got in contact with the guy that mixed the album, Phil Eck. He's based out of Seattle, and he was a little bit dumbfounded how we lost all the drives and a little bit upset. But
it's actually for such an iconic album too, that is.
I know, it's a little bit silly. If you ever wanted to find those things and do anything with it, they're a little bit, I don't know where they are, who has them. So he didn't have them either, and he ended up putting us in contact with the guys in New York that mastered the record, and they ended up finding some drive, buried in a warehouse. It took them a couple of days to find it, and they found the files and sent them through. So
that's brilliant.
Pretty lucky.
Yeah. So lucky. That's incredible. So after 10 years of playing this album, and even longer than that, actually being a band, I'd love to know, what are your favourite songs to play live now?
It's really funny. We just did a tour of some capital city shows a month or so ago around Australia, and we actually threw it out to social media and whatnot about, is there any particular songs you'd like to hear?
Yeah.
Which was a clever idea at the time and an annoying idea afterwards, because you learn a lot of songs. But there's been a few songs that sort of came through that process, particularly one called Back Down to Black, which just happens to be from Harlequin Dream, which we never really played live. Maybe we played it once or twice years and years ago, and it sort of hasn't done anything, hasn't hit the set list in rotation for since then, And we ended up, putting it together for this last run of shows, and it became one of my favorite songs on the run, to play live. There's something about the journey that song took us all on, and we were definitely reinterpreting what that song was and how to make it work live amongst the set of, different kind of material. And it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it's probably my pick of the set right now is that song. Yeah,
wow. So are you saying that it kind of meant something different when it was first recorded? Is that right? Or
it's more like I always think of music as painting a picture. It's sometimes easier to talk about. And when you're painting a picture, you're thinking about what colors are giving what sort of emotion. And maybe just the color of its role back when we were playing live shows wasn't always working. We found it hard to incorporate it in a way that made it work. And we sort of reworked what it is now and how it's presented. And it felt really seamless playing it in the set for some reason. So it was a little bit of reinterpreting what we'd done on the album, reinterpreting how we're going to play those parts live. And often I don't know if it was this exact song, but when we do that, often me and John will spend a lot of time going, all right, there's a couple of keys hooks here and a couple of guitar hooks here. is it actually better if we swap parts right now and I'll play the keys bit and you play a guitar line or something like that? Just try and find how do we get the right things that need to be heard need to be played. And so we're just always figuring out which parts and which layers to sort of focus on.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. It'd be hard, having to leave some out too.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like I'll often record 2 or 3 guitars depending on the song, sometimes 1, but sometimes there's 5, it just depends on what the song needs. So there's always reinterpretation as to which parts we'll play live and how do we choose the main elements of what makes the song work. Because like what works on a recording and what works live are very different things. We spend a lot of time in the rehearsal studio just really finessing which bits need to be performed and which bits can be successfully left out of the performance.
Yeah, a bit sneaky.
Yeah.
I'm always blown away by the live sound of Boy and Bear. You guys were actually my very first concert that I ever went to. And
cool.
Still so special. Like I remember it vividly. It was at Panthers in Newcastle. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. That must have been 2014 or something. I don't know, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2014.
I don't remember every show, but I do remember that one.
Yeah, awesome.
It was a big show. It was a really big venue.
It was huge. Yeah. It was absolutely packed out. And as my first concert, I was like, what is going on here? Like, this is crazy. It's crazy. But it was so much fun.
Oh, great.
And you guys will be back in Newcastle at the Civic Theatre this time on the 28th of September. What excites you most about going back on tour?
I mean, particularly with this tour, it's a more regional based run, and we haven't done a heap of those in the last few years for a number of reasons. But we've definitely missed it because it's such a fun way to tour because you treat parts of the country as a certain leg, and it just means rather than flying to Melbourne, flying home, flying to Perth, flying home, we're actually going to drive most of those legs, and you might do 4 or 5 shows on that particular week. So you end up just getting to see a lot more of the country because you're in a car and you're stopping it off at all the nice little bakeries around the different towns, and you get to do a little bit more sightseeing, and there's just a bit more time to explore all these beautiful places. So that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. We're on the road for maybe 8 or 9 weeks, I think. So there'll be plenty of time for us to there'll be plenty of time to escape and find little pockets and do a bit of sightseeing and actually see the country.
Yeah, incredible. Well, Killian, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. It's been awesome talking to you. And
thank you, my pleasure.
I can't wait to see you at the Civic Theatre on the 28th of September this year.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Bonnie. Appreciate you having a chat.
No worries at all. Lovely to meet you.
You too. See you later.
Bye.